Welcome back, vdiscovery viewers. Today, an announcement. We have upgraded Relativity from version 10.0 to 10.2. We have Dani Barak with us today to share all the excitement that we had during the upgrade process, as well as share some of the new features that are out there.
So for the most part, this one went very smoothly. If you prepare enough before doing an upgrade, it usually does. Generally, you don't want to do everything the night of. You want to get everything ready to install, have everything basically where you just have to hit go and let that thing
Set up your configuration files, put them on all different computers and get ready. So did you have any issues or everything, you just hit a button, walked away, took a nap, and then when you woke up, everything was up and running?
For the most part, it worked pretty well. We did have a couple of issues where we had some residual stuff left over from old databases that got hit on the processing server, but aside from that, once we cleaned that up, it was good. So it mostly went very smoothly, no major issues, which is great because otherwise it becomes a very long night.
Yes.
And so we have some new features.
Yeah, let's talk about those. Something that's interesting to me is we now have Office support for Office 2016, which I'm guessing we're going to see more and more of those files, so it's great to have official support. A few other things that were improved in imaging. So you know how Relativity now flags documents if the page is cut off on the side of the screen. So now there is a shortcut button that you can click on, and it'll take you to those warnings to see if there are any cut-offs on any of the pages. And the other option we have is something called Detect Character Encoding during imaging. Now, I haven't had any issues imaging, so I'm not quite sure about this feature. I'm going to be testing it, and I will share with you guys what I find out about that. Now, as far as using Relativity, Dani, is there anything new that users need to know about it? Any changes?
Well, generally, once we complete an upgrade, we like to go through a process where we have a number of tests that we run. We want to test, viewing documents and processing and all of the different functions of Relativity. And one of the things that we usually run into where we're going through the testing process is if there's a major change between the CSS, which is like how websites display content, or JavaScript, a lot of times what happens is you'll actually end up with the old stuff still cached in your web browser. So if you don't clear your cache, or at least do a shift refresh in your browser, you might end up with some strange things after an upgrade. This could be analysts who are trying to do processing, fields not showing up, or even end users trying to do review in extreme circumstances. So we generally recommend that.
We did have this issue when setting up a production where you were not able to select a field for some reason, and then hitting Shift F5, Shift Refresh, that actually cleared that out.
Yeah.
Next, we want to talk about what's new in processing, or some of the things that I've noticed that could be interesting to either us or maybe to you guys. So quickly going to go through them. Faster publishing. So we're able to no longer log the audit records for published documents. So that'll speed up the publishing process, and it'll be easier on a database as well. So I think that's an option that's worthwhile to turn on.
Yeah.
So if you could turn it on for us, that'd be great. Then we have some enhanced errors when publishing and field is too small, which is always nice to have. And there is a new view. So when you discover documents, you don't normally see what they are until you publish. So now you have a view, so you could look at the files that you've discovered. However, there is really no action you can take on that view. You can see them, but there is no way to do selective publishing or anything like that. So we'll see how useful that's going to be. It's always nice to see, but I don't know what actions we can take on that. Doesn't look like too many at the moment. The other thing people have been asking for is a file size report on original data before it got expanded, which is something that's interesting to project managers and clients, not necessarily to tech folks. And finally, the duplicate count. So if you had multiple occurrences of the same file, people want to know how many times this file occurred in a data set, right? So they know how many duplicates of it there were. For whatever reason, it's useful to some people. So now they'll have that information. And I'm going to turn it back to Dani for some more techie behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, so some of the things we noticed in the change logs were that there's some enhancements to the desktop client, so you have more options for naming your native files and extracted text. You can add confidentiality designation to native files as well.
That's awesome. We don't have to do batch files anymore.
And because we do message of the day, every time we're going to do an upgrade, we'll usually put this notification up for about a week saying we're going to do this upgrade with a maintenance period. It's a much prettier message. It was the first thing I noticed after the upgrade, so that was nice. And we're looking into some of the enhancements to DT search, which we're going to play around with and get you some feedback on that when we have a little more on it.
Okay, and then for productions, I want to talk about a little bit there. We have stage and run. So normally when you run a production, you stage a production and run a production. People were asking, why do I need 2 steps? Well, now there is a button. You just hit one button, bam, and it goes. Next, font styles and sizes. So we can do way more customization with different font styles. However, I see it a little bit as possibly downside. You know how sometimes clients ask us, hey, can you match the fonts and sizes to the previous productions done by a different vendor?
Now,
yeah, so now we're gonna get some vendor do Comic Sans and they'll try to match.
Yeah,
Can you guys match it to that? But the plus side on this, we have a conditional branding. So if there's a confidential designation you want to brand, you no longer have to build a string and put it in the field. You can define it in the production. Again, this is something we need to use and kind of test that out. And finally, global presets, so that we don't have multiple productions done in different fonts and sizes, because I could see that happening easily. Danya, anything else on your side?
Yeah, they finally fixed a problem that was annoying me for a long time, which is when you want to do a mass operation, by default, it's nothing is selected, and a lot of times you want to run that on everything in your search query. So now by default, it's set to all, which saves you an extra click, and it stops you from that pop-up
and
showing that
that extra click is what I'm all about.
It's all about saving
when there
clicks.
is that company that takes care of that one extra click, so you could do just a little bit less to get done quicker, it's always plus in my book.
And we finally have a little bit more support for RSMF, which is nice.
That's something I'm very excited about. So we are able to process and display RSMF. If you don't know, those are the short message file format where you have a text messages stored in Relativity. So we have some support for that. They're not going to display with a timeline and pretty visualizations, but they will display the chat history and you'll be able to image it. So now we'll be able to continue working on our solution that we have in-house and try to adapt our SMF file format in that solution, and possibly even show it to our clients and see what they think about it, because technically now we could image and produce.
Yeah, straight out of there. That's nice.
All right, that's all I have. Relativity 10.2. If you guys have any questions about it, be sure to reach out to one of our project managers. If you're not vdiscovery client, you can post a comment in the comment section. We'll be happy to talk to you about it. And as usual, don't forget to follow vdiscovery on social media networks listed on your screen. And for previous videos, check us out on YouTube. Thank you.